Hey everyone, welcome to Crafting with JC. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing several adorable farmhouse DIYs that are all very quick to do. Some will only take you minutes to complete and super affordable because most of the supplies I use are from Dollar Tree. So let's get started. For the first DIY, I'm going to be using this black frame from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove the cardboard sign and replace it with some 1-gallon paint stir sticks. I got a pack of 10 at my local hardware store, and they were quite inexpensive. So I turn the frame over and I bend back the metal tabs to remove the cardboard. And with some pliers, I pull out the metal tabs and those easily pop right out. Then I measure and mark a paint stick. I want it to fit nicely behind the frame, and then I trim about 7 paint sticks down to that size. I'll be staining the paint sticks, and I'll be using Behr's water-based wood stain in the shade Special Walnut. So I give the stain a good mix, then I grab a foam brush and I start applying the stain onto the paint sticks. I actually leave a small section on the ends unstained because I will be applying glue to that part later, and I want to ensure I get the strongest hold possible when I glue the sticks to the frame. So I apply the stain and I wipe off any excess stain that hasn't been absorbed. I also make sure to apply the stain on the sides of the paint sticks. I leave the back unstained since it's not going to be seen, but you certainly can stain it. I also add a second coat for a deeper finish. Before permanently gluing the sticks down, what I like to do is lay them all out on the frame first and space them out evenly. That way I have an idea as to where to glue each of them down. I add a dab of hot glue directly onto the frame, then I carefully place the paint stick right on top. This way it prevents any excess glue from seeping out and creates a nice clean finish. I'm going to embellish the frame with some flowers and greenery. I pull out some of the stems of this greenery bouquet from Michael's and a flower from this Dollar Tree flower bouquet. I start by gluing the stems down on the bottom left side of the frame. I start with 4 stems and I place it down where it looks good. Then I hot glue them down. I'm going to have the leaves form kind of an L, and I also want to make sure there's some space in between for the flower. So I glue about 4 stems down, and then I glue down the flower right in the middle, which creates a nice focal point. And from there I just keep adding on more greenery in areas that need it, just to make it look more full and vibrant. I'm going to use this stencil pack from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to stencil farmhouse on a small piece of wood plank left over from a larger piece which I used from another project from Dollar Tree. I paint the wood black, apple barrels, black acrylic paint, and I brush that on all over the top and the sides, but I do leave the bottom unpainted. Then I get a sanding sheet and I gently sand the edges of the wood to distress. I also sand the surface of the wood to dull down any sheen and give it a more weathered appearance. Okay, now that that's done, I place the stencil right on top of the wood, taping the sides with painter's tape so that it doesn't move around. I take a stencil brush and white chalk paint. I'm using the Folk Art brand, and then I gently start dabbing the paint over the stencil. I like to go in circular motions as well, but this stencil is quite thin, so I'm really careful when I do that. I also make sure to dab off any excess paint on a paper towel before stenciling, that way it goes on cleanly and minimizes smudges. Once that's done, I remove the stencil and oh wow, this looks really pretty. Then I glue that down right towards the top center. You can either hang this by securing some rope or string on the back or leaning it against a wall. To hang, I string some beads onto a string and then I secure it on the back. And we're done! I love how this one turned out. For the next DIY, I'm going to be using a couple of these small wooden crates from Dollar Tree, as well as these 3/4 inch square dowels which I got from my local hardware store, cut to about 7 inches. I'm going to stain the dowels with this water-based wood stain from Behr in the shade Special Walnut. Before I do that, I mark the areas where I'm going to avoid applying the stain because I will be applying glue on that. So on one side, I mark the height of the crate, and I also mark about 1.5 inches or so from the top. I love the stain. It goes on so smoothly, and because it's water-based, it dries really fast. It's very buildable, so I do about a couple coats for a deeper finish. By the way, this video is part of a farmhouse themed collab. I've gotten together with a group of amazing and talented crafters to bring you a super awesome farmhouse themed playlist. So make sure to check that out, and I will have that playlist linked below. For the crates, I want to leave it as is. I love the contrast of the natural wood against the darker stain, so I just apply some clear wax all over the crates. You can also use Mod Podge or whatever sealant you prefer to protect and seal the wood. Then I apply some glue on the side of a crate and a little on a dowel, and I just join them together like so, clamping it, and I also wipe out any of the glue that seeped out before it hardens. Then I glue the second crate to the dowel right on top. I also lay it on its side, which helps make sure it's glued evenly. Now you can certainly use a longer dowel, have it go higher, as well as add another crate on top. Then I just clamp it and then glue the other dowel to the other side. And this DIY is done. Place some small faux plants or succulents inside, or use it for organization or to display some decor. For the next DIY, I'm going to be using this white wooden blank sign. I love crafting with these, as well as some 3/4 inch square dowels from my local hardware store to frame the wooden sign. Now these dowels are all left over from a prior project, so I do have to trim them down a bit. So I measure, mark, and trim the dowels to frame the wood nicely. After that, I do stain them with the same water-based stain from Behr in the shade Special Walnut. On the wood sign, I'm going to place the Dollar Tree decal on top. This comes in a pack of 2. But my first attempt did not go too well. The lettering is so beautiful but so thin, and I had a difficult time applying it, so I thought I would try again, being extra careful this time. So I slowly and carefully peel out Blessed, and it was still difficult for me to work with, so I just took my time with it. I even had to reposition the word because it was too low, but finally I did get it down in one piece, so that was good. Then I peel and place Family down, and wow, it looked really good. You will definitely want to seal this to keep it in place. Then I position the dowels where I'm going to place them, and then I glue them in place. I apply glue on the top, bottom, and one of the sides, and then I just bring the dowels towards it. Then I glue the final dowel to make a complete frame. I do apply some painter's tape all around to clamp, and we are done. This was such an easy DIY, and I love how it turned out. For the final DIY, I'm going to be using this small wooden tray from Dollar Tree. I'll also be using this blue rub-on transfer from Dollar Tree as well. And I'm going to be adhering that onto the surface of the tray. So I trim the transfer so that it will fit nicely inside the tray because it's a little bit larger. I peel off the white backing paper and I place that inside the tray, and if I measured and cut correctly, it should fit nicely inside. I use the scraper to rub and go over the transfer a couple times, and then I get my little tiny scissors with a very pointy tip to pull back a corner of the transfer. It is really snug inside the tray. To transfer, I just rub all over while gently pulling back the clear sheet. If it doesn't completely transfer, then I just lay it back down and I just rub it over it again with a popsicle stick, which actually worked better than the Dollar Tree scraper. So I just take my time with it. I don't want to rush it, and eventually I get all the transfer down in one piece. I love the blue pattern against the natural wood, which is why I decided to leave the tray as is. I'm going to need 4 tumbling tower blocks and 4 craft cubes, and I'm going to glue them together like so. I'm going to stain them with the same stain I've been using throughout this video from Behr in the shade Special Walnut. I also make sure to stain the sides of the cubes because that part can be seen a little bit, and I do wipe down the blocks to remove any stain that hasn't absorbed. Next, I get some jute cord and I just wrap that around the handles. I use a little bit of hot glue to hold it in place, and I just wind it around, and then I secure the ends with hot glue. And this is going to match the stain blocks nicely. Then I hot glue the blocks underneath on each corner. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and click that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my new videos. And finally, I brush on some clear wax all over to protect the transfer as well as the raw wood, but you can also use Mod Podge or whatever sealant you prefer. And we are done. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to check out the Farmhouse playlist link below. Bye!